Let me share my screen. I'm so excited to start this workshop. The slides look amazing. I can't wait for everybody to see it. Just a note, if your internet drops out in the middle, don't worry, we're recording and we'll be sending all the resources and recordings after this call. So don't worry about missing anything. Everything will be emailed to you. Okay, let me share my screen. I can't wait for everyone to see these beautiful slides. Okay, let's see if it worked. Okay, maybe give me a thumbs up or like say yes in the chat if you can see my screen. Okay, I see people can see it. Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Okay, so now let me go ahead with the presentation. Oh my gosh, there's so many people here today. I'm so happy. Thank you all for being here. Anyway, let's get started. So this is the product design workshop for complete beginners. So if you're an aspiring data analyst, UX designer, product manager, you're in the right place. Okay, let me just double check that the YouTube stream is working. I have so many windows open right now. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Oh, and I do recommend that you take some notes because writing it down in a document or a notebook can really help you remember all this information, even if the recording and all the notes will be sent to you afterwards. It will really help you pay attention and just learn the best that you can learn. Okay, let's start with an icebreaker. Where are you calling in from? Maybe just put in the chat your country or city. For example, I'm calling from Vancouver, Canada. Right now it is 11 a.m. where I am. A lot of people are calling in from Nigeria. I believe that's, is that like 5 or 6 p.m.? Okay, and then we have people from Florida. That's 2 p.m., I believe. And then India. Wait, isn't it really late in India? Oh my gosh, thank you for being here. 10 p.m. in Dubai. Oh my gosh, I really appreciate you all making time for this call. We have people from 7 p.m. Serbia. Wow, everywhere. That's amazing. I always feel like I'm traveling a little bit every time I do this activity, so thanks for sharing. Awesome. Let's move on then, because I have such a value-packed session here today, and it's going to go pretty fast, but don't worry, everything will be recorded. Okay, a quick disclaimer before we start. This is for entry level. Hopefully you know about us already. This workshop is intended to promote our UX design course, but obviously you're not pressured to take it because I'll share a lot of free resources. But I really do think the UX design course can help you. And in case you don't know who we are, we teach you tech skills in just 6 weeks, completely online and flexible. And the best part is that it's free if you finish. So if you complete your portfolio project and you submit everything by the deadlines, you get a refund. So that really motivated me to finish my entry-level course. Okay. Another thing I have to say is that there is a little surprise for you if you end up staying till the end, or it's okay if your internet drops out because this recording will be emailed. So I guess if you're watching the recording, you can skip to the end. But yeah. Okay, so another question for everybody here. What does product design mean to you? Maybe just type in the chat and let me know, because I'd love to hear what you think product design is before we get started. Okay, I'm waiting to see your answers here in the chat. No wrong answers. Don't feel pressured to write something super insightful. I'm just curious to hear what you think. Okay, so someone says, designing a product for users that gives them complete satisfaction. Interesting. Thanks for sharing. Tech product journey, designing user-friendly products that solve user problems and convert for the business. Interesting. I love all these definitions. It sounds like you guys know a little bit about design already. Visualization of an idea that you want to bring to reality to satisfy a need. Ooh. creating a sustainable product that benefits users and optimizes their experience. Okay. Ooh, making products attractive. Interesting. How would you define attractive though? That's a nice and short definition. That's interesting. A lot of people are mentioning user satisfaction here. Designs that address users' need first and then satisfy goals of the business. Interesting. Okay. Feel free to keep the responses coming, but I'm going to move on just in the interest of time. So for me, design is about solving problems. This is my own personal definition. You can see this is a screenshot from Craigslist, and it doesn't look very pretty. I think we can agree on that. It seems very simple, but like it doesn't, I don't think designs need to be pretty. They just need to solve some kind of problem. And here you can see Craigslist does solve a problem for their users. And I guess I don't really use Craigslist, but a lot of people do, even though their website kind of looks like this. And this is, I wanted to share the portfolios of some of our students as well. But it's important to note, like, these portfolios all look amazing, but and aesthetics are super important and attracts people to the design, but it's also important to note the usability of your design. So people do like using apps that look nice, but they might leave if it's very frustrating to use the app, like there's too many button clicks to do one simple thing. So I think all your definitions are correct, but it's also important to keep in mind it's not just something that looks nice, it has to actually solve somebody's problem. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. If you're sharing this event and everything that you're learning, please tag us. It would be awesome if you shared something like design is about solving problems or something, because I manage all of our social media and I would love to see all the cool insights that you're learning, what your key takeaways are. So feel free to tag us. On Twitter, we're entry-level net, but everywhere else we're entry-level programs. But I think if you search entry-level, we're just there. Perfect. Let's move on. Ugh, I just love this page because all of our students are so talented. Like, just look at their projects after they take one of our entry-level programs. Okay, let's move on. So this is what we're going to go over today. The first part, I'm going to talk about the design process, how we can think about design and apply it. Hopefully some of you have heard of design thinking, but if you haven't, that's okay. I'm going to go over it. Then we're going to do an example. This is going to be very interactive and you're going to practice a little bit of design here today. It's going to be something called a how might we statement, and I'll explain what that is later. And then we'll go over the skills that you need, soft skills, and like the tools that you need to learn, and then how to actually apply it to your life right now, even if you're not a designer. That part is my favorite part of this workshop, and it's at the very end. Okay, let's move on to design thinking process. Now we're going to learn about design thinking and how to apply it. So if you're taking notes right now, maybe like start a new heading, because this is what design is all about. So I'm going to start with an example. Let's say you were a designer for Coursera. You're working on a project for them and they want to retain users because a lot of people start an online Coursera course and then they just never finish it. So they want to get people to finish their Coursera course. So what are the steps that you're going to take to tackle the project? Don't think about the ideas you have to help Coursera with their course retention, but think about what you would do, like the exact steps that you would take from the very beginning to the very end. So maybe type the steps in the chat, maybe put like step 1 and then write something. I want to give examples, but I don't want to like bias your thinking process. So maybe just type step 1. What is the first thing that you would do to start this project? Step 2, step 3, and just do whatever steps you feel is necessary. I'll just wait a few minutes to see, to give you guys some time to write down your steps. But yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys think. Okay. Okay, so we have somebody saying step 1, assign a particular time for the task daily. Ooh, that's very interesting. Usually when I run this activity, people say step 1, you want to learn and research about it, which I see some people say here. And like most people start with research and starting to get to know, Coursera, understanding the users, things like that. But I love that somebody here said assign a particular time for the task, because I feel like that puts you in the right mindset to really start working on it. So that's something I've never heard before, and I love that you said that. Okay, so some people said I would send out a form to ask why existing users didn't complete their courses. Interesting. Oh, a lot of people are saying ask the users. So talking to users, super important. And then brainstorming after research. Okay, so a lot of people are starting with research. Interesting. Ooh, somebody here started with like a little test. So do a tutorial video to see if that improves retention. Thanks for sharing. This is all super interesting. No wrong answers here, but I'm going to share the process that most people use, which is the design thinking process. Feel free to keep typing in your answers, but I want you to compare your thoughts to this design thinking process, which is what most designers use. So even though it's like listed in these 5 steps, it's non-linear. So you can repeat some steps. So like you can think of an idea and then test it and then go back and test another idea. So I'll go over these steps in more detail, so don't worry. Okay, so the first step is empathizing. So a lot of you mentioned this. You talked a little bit about, talking to users, sending out surveys, and this is all about like researching the user's needs. And let's say you did that with Coursera, and you find out that users are feeling unmotivated when they're learning alone. Maybe you have taken a Coursera course before and you can relate to this, because it's like you have to do it by yourself. There's not really always a study group, or it's not live, so you can't always talk to people. So that's what you find out after your research. Then the next step is to define. And this is when you take all of your research findings and then you really define the problem. And I love using the jobs to be done here. And here's what that is. So maybe you have heard of personas. A persona is like the demographics here, like male, female, when were they born, like where are they located, other traits about them. But you can see here, like King Charles and Ozzy Osbourne, they have kind of the same persona, but they're obviously very different people. Like one is kind of a rock star and the other is like definitely not a rock star. So it's not just about the demographics. You have to think about the problems that people face and what jobs they need to get done. So that's why I like using the jobs to be done. And we can go over an example of this. So usually this jobs to be done statement is like when, and then you say that what the situation is, and then you say what it makes a user want to do and what their expected outcome is. So if you were working for a toothbrush company, the job of the toothbrush users aren't to just brush their teeth. They want to keep their teeth clean and healthy. That's the expected outcome. And if you work for a vacuum company, they don't just want to clean their floor. Like, what are they cleaning it for? Oh, it's to maintain a clean aesthetic space. Maybe it's so they can focus better. They feel like there's less clutter in the room. Let me know if this blew your mind like it did for me, or if you've heard of it before, because I love using jobs to be done so much. Yeah, so the whole purpose of this is to get deeper into the why of what people want and their motivations, and we'll dig deeper into like the why behind the why later. Oh, and if you took our data analyst course, maybe this will sound familiar because it's all about like the root cause analysis and like the 5 whys and stuff. But yeah, just keep asking why. Okay, so the jobs to be done statement, I created one for our little Coursera task. So when I take online courses, I want to feel less alone so I can be more motivated to finish the course. So this is the example statement that I made after all the research we did. We don't have time to do the research right now, but so I just made an example. So this would be the job of our users. Maybe it's something that you've experienced too and why you're here at this workshop learning. Maybe you've watched a few YouTube videos as well and signed up for some courses and never finished them because it's just so lonely learning alone, like learning by yourself online. And it's just easy to like lose track of time and like let the course slip through your fingers and not finish it. So yeah, that is now we have like a clear definition of what the problem our users are facing based on our research. And then now the next step is to ideate. And it's using the how might we statement, which I'll talk about later, to kind of come up with ideas and solutions to this problem that we've defined. And this how might we statement, I love it because it kind of reframes the problem so that it's easier to brainstorm solutions for. And we'll do an activity on this later so you can experience for yourself what it's like. Okay, the next step is to prototype. So I think some of you were talking about this earlier where it's like you're making something and then it's like a solution for the user's problems. It can be something as simple as like a sketch on a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be something super fancy. And then after you make this example solution, then the last step is to test it. You want to get feedback from your users and hear what they think of your prototype. And then, of course, after you test it, maybe you'll discover something new, and then you'll go back to the prototype stage and create a better solution and then test it again. So it's an iterative process. It's not just 1 to 5 and then you end at step 5. You're always going back to the previous steps. Maybe after testing, you discover, oh, I actually need to go back to the research stage, or I need to like redefine the problem. So it's very iterative. All right, let's go over an ideation example. This is the how might we statement I talked about earlier. So what you're going to do is just answer this question. So I created this how might we statement already to save us some time. So how might we encourage users to feel more motivated to complete their course? And all you have to do is answer this question. Write down some of your ideas for keeping students more motivated, maybe helping them feel a little less alone. So feel free to just pop that in the chat. I look forward to seeing the creative things you'll come up with. It doesn't have to be super fancy or anything. Just, yeah, write down what your thoughts are. Ooh, okay, so someone's saying pairing students. We actually tried that. We did accountability buddies where 2 students got paired together and then at entry level when they took one of our courses, and they actually loved it. Okay, so someone's saying rewards. We actually also have that. It's the badges on the certificate, which you can brag about the skills that you learned in an interview. Group learning projects. Interesting. Ooh, reducing online class time to short series. Interesting. Group chat, group calls. Okay, someone's asking, are we still talking about design? Yes, this is an example of how designers tackle projects. So this is part of the design thinking process where you're ideating and brainstorming solutions for the user's problem, so then you can design something to address their problem. Okay, so yeah, a lot of people are saying leaderboard, that's a good idea. Quiz, student group discussions, rewards, networking. Those are very great ideas and kind of similar to what entry level did. So this was one of our students. He's amazing. He wrote a whole article about his experience with entry level. And basically he said the community was a game changer. He made so many new friends. Like, I think he almost gave up on the course. I'll send the article if you want to read it, but he literally said, I'm going to give up. I'm too busy. And then he had so many people reach out to him and say, no, don't give up. Like, you can do it. And he actually finished the course. So that's what we implement in our course structure to kind of make sure you succeed, because there's a community of people that you can talk to throughout the 6-week program at entry level. And you also get a refund if you finish. So it's like double motivation. So I'll send a link to this article, maybe via email. So check your email if you want to read through this person's experience. Okay. Now let's move on to skills. So this section is, I think, one of the most important parts that a lot of people don't realize, because everybody who wants to be a designer is like, I need to learn Figma, I need to learn like all these different tools, but soft skills are also super important. So I'll go over what those skills are in a little bit. Okay, so these are some of the popular tools first. But I think you need to remember design is about solving problems. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you need some fancy technology to be a designer. Like one of our students who got a job after our program started designing on his phone. I'll share his story in a link later. Actually, I can share it right now because I have it. I'm so proud of him. Like his portfolio looks amazing. So let me just put this in the chat. His name's Eric. So you can watch his story after our call just to get inspired, because he literally started designing on his phone. Like nothing stopped him. And I don't think you need to be like, you don't really need to start with a laptop or anything. Just start with whatever resources that you have. For example, sometimes it's more effective to like draw a solution on just a napkin and then get quick feedback and then improve, because like imagine you spend all this time designing something fancy on Figma and then suddenly it doesn't actually solve the user's problems, and then you share it with users and they're like, this sucks, and then you have to start out over. So it's better to like do a quick sketch and then get feedback early on something you didn't spend that much time on, so that you can refine it as you go. So that's something very important I think you need to remember, because I see like so many people make the mistake of just going and putting all this effort into the design, and then all their time was wasted because it doesn't actually address the user's problems. So that's why soft skills are so important, because you can't just design by yourself. You need to talk to users, you need to talk to the rest of your team, because like, what if the developers tell you, oh, you can't actually implement this design? Like you always need to be talking to people. So please avoid that mistake. But yeah, sorry, I got a little off track from the design tools, but a lot of people use FigJam and Miro for brainstorming and ideation, and Figma for like the actual design work. But there's other alternatives like Adobe XD, InVision, Sketch, and then pen and paper, of course. Just use whatever resources you have available. Like just by being in this call, I think we've already done some design thinking and a little bit of design work, brainstorming solutions to problems. So like, as you can see, we didn't really need fancy tools. You just typed stuff in the Zoom chat. So I think that's important to keep in mind. Like, don't feel intimidated by all the tools that you have to learn. Just take it one step at a time. And it's a lot more simple than you would think. Okay, now soft skills. This is so important. Like I said, communication is one of the best soft skills you can learn. You learn this by like working with teams. Like for example, communicating with your peers in the entry-level cohorts that we run. You need to be able to communicate your research findings properly and communicate your design solutions and all the ideas that you brainstormed. You always need to be talking to users, talking to your team, like developers and product managers. So it's super important to practice these communication soft skills, because I feel like you don't get this practice if you just watch YouTube videos, right? You need to actually do the work and be with other people. The next one is persuasion. So as a designer, you're like looking out for your users, right? But some people are more interested in like the revenue. So you have to know how, like what each person is interested in to kind of persuade them to invest in these design changes for your users. So you can maybe, when you're talking to product managers or like business stakeholders, you can talk in terms of like the ROI or return on investment of the design changes. So like you can say, oh, by making this checkout process easier. This actually happened at entry level. I don't know how many people were part of our old checkout process, but the onboarding was so long. Like you had to fill out a 30-question survey. And like, I'm so surprised we actually got users because that survey was so bad. But then as I think somebody who was like product minded, like product design minded, they were like, okay, this is way too long. This is adding too much friction. Let's remove that and replace it with like after everybody has reached the checkout screen. So we did that and our conversion rate skyrocketed. Like a lot more people were seeing the checkout screen and like purchasing courses. So if you can frame your design decisions and say, this is going to lead to an increase in conversions, increase in revenue, then you can persuade the business stakeholders to implement the design changes, which is also benefiting the users because now people don't have to be so tired filling out like 30 questions. I'm actually curious if anybody here has seen those super long questions before, but we removed that earlier this year. So maybe some of you are new and didn't have to fill out all those questions when you signed up. Okay, so the next soft skill is analytical skills. This one surprised me because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna design and like make pretty things, but no, like when you research with users, you need to really understand how to consolidate all of the research findings. Like sometimes for surveys, you'll get hundreds of responses. So then you have to go through all of that data. You have to really, like one way that you can stand out is really know your metrics for success. So the Coursera example we did earlier, the core metric was the course retention rate, like how many people are sticking with the course to the end. Some other metrics could be like revenue or conversion rate. There are so many good articles on this. I'm going to link the article because I saw it on LinkedIn and it was just so amazing. So I will link that in the email that will be sent out after this call. Okay. And of course, another skill is empathy, really understanding users and the why behind the why. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the why behind the why. This example blew my mind. So I'm so excited to hear what your thoughts are on it. So this is an example. So there's a person who worked for, I think like a news app thing where people can read bite-sized news. And she wanted to figure out like why people would use their app. So she researched with a bunch of users and she was like, okay, so people are saying they want to stay up to date with the news, but like why? And so she kept asking why. And everybody was saying, oh, I just want to seem more interesting. Like I want to be an interesting person. So she figured out that it's not that they want to stay updated with the news. It's that they are concerned about how others see them and how they present themselves to others. So after discovering that, she came up with this amazing ad idea. This is the ad that they came up with. Become the most interesting person in the room. And here are all the metrics. Like they scaled ad spend, they cut ad costs, they even won the app of the day. Like this was amazing results. And it's not exactly like design related, it's more like marketing. But I think it really exemplifies that you need to dig deep into people's motivations and reasoning. And then once that messaging resonates, like you'll scale pretty fast and like help your company. And that's what gets you hired. So this example is what I like because as you can see here, people don't say, like users are not saying that they want to be the most interesting person in the room. You kind of have to dig to find that out by yourself. So that's like one of the most important skills that you learn, and you can only learn that through experience, by talking to users and like kind of really digging deep and practicing the user interviews. And don't worry, I'm going to put all the links that I have shared and all the resources and stories in the email that I send after this, and it'll also be on our website. Yeah, so a really cool example and shows how important metrics are, how important like asking why is, and how important like digging deep into the user's motivations are. And I'm also going to share this other article about metrics because Like if you're a complete beginner, just keep this in mind for later on in your learning journey. Don't overwhelm yourself right now. But I really think metrics is something that not a lot of beginners do, and it can help you stand out if you're hoping to land a career in design, because it's just so important in business. Okay, let's move on to my favorite part, designing your life. Okay, so I don't know how many of you want to be designers here. I know maybe we have some product managers, some data analysts. Maybe if you're a data analyst, you're like wondering, okay, this is cool, but I'm not going into UX design. How can I apply this? So whether you're a designer or not, this is what you can do to immediately apply design principles to improve your life. Okay, so like I said, design is all about problem solving. So think about all the different areas in your life that you can solve problems for. Like maybe in your health, it's like eating better, sleeping better, exercising more. In your career, maybe you want to get a new job, you want to get a promotion, you want to explore which career would make you the happiest. And your relationships, maybe you want better relationships and spend more time with family, friends, or your partner. So just identify and clearly define those problems. Like we said in the design thinking process, you have to like ideate, I think it was like empathize, define, ideate. Like you can go through that whole process with problems in your life as well. And then after that, like following the process, you brainstorm solutions. So like for your health, maybe you can be like, okay, a solution would be put my phone in another room instead of taking it in my bedroom with me, or like talking to mentors for your career, or setting aside a specific time for your loved ones. And then here you can see the metrics. That is how you can measure if you've succeeded in your design or not. So it could be like the hours you spent sleeping, or how you rated your quality of sleep out of 5. And then when you record these metrics and you look at it over time, you can really see the impact that your design would have. And I think this would be really cool, because otherwise, like you set New Year's resolutions and goals, and then you just kind of forget about them, because you kind of like, if you don't measure it, it's very easy to forget. And I don't think your solution to these problems necessarily need to be like designing an app. Apps can help a lot if you're interested in that, but for me, I don't like downloading a lot of apps. Like my phone doesn't have the space, so it doesn't necessarily need to be an app. It just has to be a viable solution, like these examples here. Okay, let's move on. So the other step is to test and iterate. So let's say you run these experiments and you find out you usually sleep 8 hours a night, and your sleep quality, you rate it pretty good. Maybe you talk to one mentor per month on average, and you hung out with friends once a week on average. So then you can kind of track your success here and get practice using metrics in your own life, even if like this is stuff that you can talk about in interviews. And I think it's a very interesting story, because I've never heard of anyone applying design to improve their lives like this. So it can also help you stand out as a designer and get more practice with metrics, of course. All right, so I did assign some homework for you guys. The first step, I think, is entry-level UX design course. So if you learned something new from this and you're like itching to actually apply it, our course actually makes you do stuff. So you have to conduct user interviews, you have to create an app, everything I talked about today, you will experience for yourself and get a project out of it. So that is the number one thing that I would recommend. And I'm going to link our program in the chat. Don't worry, everything is recorded and will be emailed to you. So if you miss something, I will email it out to you later. Okay. And also for entry-level UX course, you do get practice using software. So we didn't use anything like Figma today, but throughout the course, you will be taught how to use it and actually use it for your project. Again, you'll be conducting user interviews and creating your first portfolio project. And it's just a really good. I myself enrolled in it for the May cohort. I think the deadline is coming up early next week. Just check our website for more information. But if you enroll in the UX course, we'll be classmates. So that'll be really fun. I hope to see you there. So that's step one, just reading about our course and signing up if you want to. Just a reminder, if you actually complete the course, you get a refund. So it's technically free if you finish it. The second step is to join a community. So as we saw with the Coursera example, a lot of people feel alone in their learning, and to keep yourself motivated, you need to be around other people. There's lots of free communities out there. An example is Design Buddies. It's on Discord, but there's also Facebook and LinkedIn groups, or you can connect with people in the chat right now. Like maybe drop your LinkedIn and like just connect with each other. If you're taking an entry-level UX course, that's even better because you can talk about the course. So feel free to put your LinkedIn in the chat and just connect with people who are like you and want to learn design. Okay, so that's step 2. And step 3 is get mentorship. So ADP List has free mentorship for everyone, and you can use that to learn from people who are more experienced, and then they can give you personalized advice based on your goals and your situation and your previous experience. So I really recommend ADP List. And then step 4 is to create a portfolio. You will get to create a portfolio anyway if you take our UX design course, but I do have some recommended websites that you can use. So let me copy paste them in the chat here. But don't worry, I am also going to be emailing all these websites out, and it'll be on our website. So these are the portfolio sites that you can use. Oh, and thanks everybody for dropping your LinkedIns. Hope to see some connections there. Okay, so these are the 4 steps that you should do after this call. Maybe take a screenshot or like write it down, because I really think these, if you follow these steps, you will succeed in starting your UX journey. Okay, so these were the portfolio websites that I recommend, and I shared them in the chat. And don't worry, I'm going to email this out to you as well. Okay, now we have the surprise. So if you stayed this long, thank you so much. You actually would get a 10% discount on the commitment bond, which is the payment that you put to commit yourself to the course, and you can get a refund after you finish. The deadline is on May 16th. So use this coupon code PDWorkshop10 for product design, and use it on our website to get a discount. Okay, so here's the recommended path that I have for you. The first is obviously UX design, and here is what one of our students did. You can put everything into practice that you learned today, and it's just like you get to make a project like this. And then after that, I really recommend product management, because then you can kind of prioritize what to design, what to build, and you can also like understand how to work with product managers. Oh, wait, someone is asking, is there any other payment method for Nigerians? Yes, we use Paystack now. So just check out our website and you can see all the details. Okay, perfect. So yeah, this is a project that you would work on in our product management course. So I recommend this one after you take UX design. And then digital marketing is another really good one. I actually made this course. It's really fun because like this was an experiment that we did. So you can see this is our old checkout page, and this is our new one where we started including testimonials, and it led to more people paying. So you can see how this design changed. This little experiment that we did led to like better user experience as well as better conversions and revenue for us. So if you're curious about conducting experiment, A/B testing your designs, this is the one that you can take. And yes, you can take any of these courses at any time. If you're more interested in product or more interested in marketing, then like you can take these courses. It's just for people who are interested in UX design. After you take the UX design course, these are some of the courses I think would be beneficial just for learning more. And then the last one is data analyst, because remember how I said you need to be analytical and analyzing all the user data and things like that. This will help you be a lot faster. It's not really a requirement, but it's really helpful, because like this was a dashboard I made for my personal data and like how happy I was after like exercising and like spending time with friends and working. So you can really like synthesize your user research findings better here. Okay, I see a question in the chat. Is there coding? Coding is not required, but it helps so much if you at least know how developers think and like how the coding works. So like it just helps with better communication to understand what's feasible. And you don't really need to learn to code, but even understanding no code tools like Webflow and Bubble can help with like knowing the feasibility of your designs. And entry level actually might come up with a no code course soon where you get to learn how to use Webflow and make really cool websites and make a portfolio website. But that's coming out soon, so be sure to follow us on social media for all the announcements. Yeah, it's super exciting. We also have an AI quiz coming out soon. Okay, so someone's wondering what order would you recommend this? Okay, so the order is UX design level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is more on like the UX process, and level 2 is on the visual side of things, so more UI, making things look pretty, color, typography, all of that. And after that, the most useful for you as a designer is product management, because then you can really communicate with product managers better. You can prioritize what designs you need to build. Because like earlier, I saw some people were saying, oh, like for the Coursera example I gave, they said, oh, you can just make a new video and test that. But all those ideas, you need to prioritize it based on how easy it is to implement, how impactful you think it is. So for making new videos, it requires like the video team to film everything, and then you have to like upload it. So that one might not be so easy to implement, and maybe other ideas might take priority because it's more impactful and has is easier to try out. So product management will really help with that. You learn like the Moscow framework and the t-shirt method for prioritizing all the different features that you could design for. So that's why you should take product management next. And then after that, I only recommend digital marketing because you get to A/B test things. And A/B testing is something that I feel like not a lot of beginner designers have experience with, but it can really help you stand out. Plus, it's just really fun to like test it. There's a lot more details, but it's inside the course, and I don't think I have time to go over all of it, but it's really fun. You get to run your own experiments and learn all about the best practices for experiments to run. And then data analyst was really fun for me too, but it's not a big requirement. It just helps with synthesizing your user research a lot more. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, so again, the deadline is May 16th to use this discount PD workshop 10, all caps, and it's for 10% off our courses. It's for every course, not just the UX design course. Okay, so for all of you who stuck around to the end, thank you so much. I wanted to run a little activity so you can apply everything that you learned in this workshop. So I want to ask, like, what's stopping you from enrolling right now? Like, what are the problems that are so urgent that you would pay for? I'd love to learn about you as an entry-level user and what you think would make you like enroll in one of our programs. Because I'm doing a little bit of research right now where I'm trying to think, okay, how can we make entry-level more valuable for people so that they would actually enroll? So feel free to type in the chat. Let me know what you think. I would love to do a little bit of user research here and learn about you and your goals. Yeah, so feel free to type and let me know. So some people are saying can't afford it, trying to get a laptop. That's fair. So the code is PD workshop 10, by the way. I'll email it out, so don't worry. Okay. So thank you everyone for sharing. So someone's saying financial issues, can't afford. It's very interesting because sometimes I ask people like, what is the reason for not enrolling? And a lot of people say, oh, I can't afford it. But then I think they get a friend to help them later because they would get a refund after. And after they take the course, they were like, oh, this was so much more value than I paid for, like it's too cheap. So we're like, okay, are we supposed to increase the price or decrease it? Okay, so some other people are saying taking other courses, time constraints. That's something I hear a lot too. And I'm trying to think like what would make it like seem more urgent. Okay, so payment issues, affordability, scared of not finishing. That is a big one. But I think like if you're always scared of stuff, then you're never gonna find opportunities. It's not just because like for entry level, it can be for everything. Like if you're scared to apply for a job because you feel like you're not qualified, you just rejected yourself before others had a chance to. Like just shoot your shot and try. Because then otherwise it's not like you'll never know. And it only takes one person to say yes to change your life. So just try and like do it despite the fear. And that's where you'll find the most opportunity. Okay, extend the deadline. Okay, so regarding the enrollment deadline, it is May 16th, but the next one is in mid-June. So you can always apply for the next cohort. It doesn't have to be right now. Okay, so interesting. Likelihood of getting a job. It will depend on you. We provide you with all the resources and support that we can, but obviously like you would have to apply for the jobs yourself. We do have a career newsletter that can help you with job application tips. So read those articles for more. Okay, and then the pricing will depend on your local currency. So just check our website for more information. It's entrylevel.net. Okay, so some other questions. International payment. Yeah, we're trying to figure that out right now. But if you have any issues, like contact our support team at support@entrylevel.net and we'll try our best to help out. Okay, so someone saying, would the discount code still apply for June? Okay, I'll extend it till June just because I know a lot of people are so busy, but like after the June deadline, that's it. So make sure to save the discount code. It'll apply for May and June, but after that, it won't anymore. Okay, so perfect. So someone's saying, okay, yes, I think you need to focus. So if you're doing another course right now, like focus on that. Entry level will still be here, maybe enroll for the June cohort instead. But I really do think that it helps you save a lot of time because our courses are only 6 weeks. And after the 6 weeks, you just get a project and you get so many resources. You get to meet a lot of cool people if you join the Discord cohort. So I would really recommend keeping us in mind, even if it's in the future. I'm glad to hear that this really helped. Okay, so for the discount, it's only 10% off. So it depends on your local currency because I don't know the currency conversions off the top of my head. So you're gonna have to check our website and then apply this discount code to see how much it would be. And you can just go to entrylevel.net. Oh, someone's enrolled with us right now and it's amazing. Thank you so much for the feedback. I appreciate it. Okay, so someone else is saying, can one learn without a laptop? You can, but it's going to be very difficult because we use tools that you can only access via laptop. So for example, like FigJam and Whimsical, if you're able to borrow a laptop for a limited time, that would be better. But to give you an example of what the course would be like and what to expect, you're going to, like if you're learning on your phone, you're going to watch some videos and you're going to read the task description and what to do. You can type in some of your notes and plan everything on your phone. But when it comes to actually doing stuff like affinity mapping and like conducting interviews, you can do on your phone, but to synthesize the interview findings and to make the app design. So like what our student did here, this would be done on laptop. So if you don't have a laptop, that's fine. You can still do the course, but you still need access to a laptop, whether by borrowing someone's laptop for a limited time just to do that part of the course. It would be way easier on laptop. Okay, so again, discount code is PD Workshop 10. I will email it out to you. Okay, so someone's asking about job guarantee. There is not a job guarantee for everybody because, to be honest, it feels weird to do job guarantees because then it's like only people who can afford to pay and go through our programs would get a job, and that's a little bit unfair for people who can't pay. So it's really up to you and like how much work that you put in. Here's an example of a student who took our UX course and they got a job. So you can read that article for some of his advice. And then I also share a lot of tips on getting a job and things like that in our weekly newsletter. Maybe you have been getting those. Maybe they've been going to spam and you've been ignoring me. No hard feelings, but just check out that website for all of the articles that we've published so far, including ones to get a job and tips for finding remote jobs. Okay, I think that's all the questions we have. But again, you can always contact me at jennifer@entrylevel.net. And I would really appreciate it if you could think about like design a solution to help entry level. That would be so amazing. Like, let me know from your perspective what you think would help people enroll more. What changes you think we can make to solve this problem of like getting people to enroll, things like that. So again, my email is jennifer@entrylevel.net. If you want to put your design thinking hat on and send me some of your ideas, that would be very helpful. Apply everything you learned in this workshop and yeah, send me your thoughts. So, if you want to know how I made these slides, there's a website, SlidesGo, and I grabbed this template from them. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? I just filled it in with my own content. So this might help you a little bit when you're doing presentations. So I highly recommend SlidesGo. I'm going to link that as well in the email. Perfect. Let me stop sharing now. Thank you everyone for coming today. I hope you learned so much. Like, I love design. I love talking to you guys. You can always contact me at any time. And thank you to everybody who stayed up super late in your time zone. I really appreciate you being here and your dedication to learning. I will see you all maybe at the next event. Thanks everyone. Bye. Thank you. Bye.